Okay, today we're going to be doing a fairly comprehensive setup guide for beginners of Retrobat, or maybe you've got Retrobat installed already and you're just trying to find out what it can actually do and you're not quite used to it yet. So, like I said, a complete beginner's guide, and we're literally going to go as far back as actually setting up a Bluetooth controller. We're going to be showing you how to scrape artwork in preview videos. I'm also going to be showing you how to use the interface itself within Retrobat in other bits and pieces. So what we're going to do first of all then is actually download the latest release of Retrobat, which is version 7.4. So we're going to head over to the Retrobat website, and as we can see just here, this is Retrobat 7.4. So we're going to download that. And this is going to take us over to the GitHub page. If we scroll downwards, we can then download the stable version, which says Windows 64 setup. If you just download that one, as it says just here, this was actually released just over a week ago as a recording this video. And the file is fairly big, and let's just remember Retrobat contains a fair amount of stuff, so it's 1.64 gigabyte. Okay, so I've already downloaded this, it's on my desktop already. Next thing we're going to want to do then is to go over to the website that is Screen Scraper. Now what we need to do with this is actually sign in, and once we're inside of Retrobat we can then download artwork and even wheel imagery, so things are looking a little bit more like Hyperspin, but we're going to go into that shortly. But Screen Scraper is absolutely free, so you can sign up with this website and just activate it, and then once we're inside of Retrobat we can then pop in our login details and we connect with Screen Scraper. It's very straightforward stuff. Next thing we're going to want to do is head over to this website, and let me just remind you that all the links for this video are going to be in the description. We're going to download DirectX End User Runtime Web Installer. So what we're going to do just here is select a language, and of course I'm going to be using English, and I'm going to go to click here to download manually. And if you should get this blocked, this is a safe website, this is Microsoft, just go to download unverified file. Once we've downloaded that, we're going to head over to this Visual C++ Runtimes all-in-one website, and if we just go to downloads, I'm then going to download it from the closest server, so that's going to be the top left hand side one for me. Okay, before I go to any more websites, let me just explain that we've just downloaded the directx package just here, and we've also downloaded the Visual C++. Now, a few releases ago, Retrobat claims that we're actually a part of the installation process, so we didn't need to download these outside of Retrobat. But after reading a lot of reports in my previous Retrobat videos, then just to be on the side of caution, just download these. So what we're going to do is actually install DirectX first. Just double left click. Okay, we're going to go to I accept the agreement, and we're going to go to next. And we're going to want to uncheck install the Bing bar. We're going to go to next, and we're just going to wait for this to initialize. So by installing programs such as DirectX, it's just going to be telling Retrobat that it's actually got software on your computer to run particular visuals. Okay, we're then going to go to finish, and that's been installed. So we're going to delete the setup.executable of this one. Next thing we're going to want to install is the Visual C++. So this downloaded in a zip folder. If I just open up this zip folder, you should find inside of it several files. Now, don't let this daunt you, it's pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do is right click on my desktop. I'm going to go down to new and folder, and I'm going to call this one Visual, and that'll be fine. You don't have to call this folder anything. If I then drag and drop all of those files inside of that Visual folder, and we're just going to wait for that one to copy across. So everything is now inside of the Visual folder, and what we need to do is just double left click on the install _ all.bat. We're then going to go to run, and we're just going to wait for these to install. And this should constantly ask you to press yes. So just continue with the process of continuously pressing yes. Okay, so once you've finished doing this, what we're going to do then is actually delete that visual folder. We no longer need any of those files as everything's now been installed on the computer. And of course, we can also delete that Visual C++ zip folder. We no longer need that one. So what we're going to do next then is set up Retrobat. So we downloaded the latest stable version, which is 7.4. What we're going to do is just double left click on the icon. Okay, Windows protected your PC. If I just go to more info and then hit run anyway. Okay, we're then going to see this very fancy looking welcome to Retrobat installation program. It's just going to explain to us that it's going to install the latest release, which is 7.4 to your computer. We're going to want to hit next. We're going to go to I accept the terms of the license agreement, and of course just read through that if that's your type of thing. I'm not going to do this, I'm going to just press next. Next up, we've got the components that we've actually just installed. Now, like I said just a minute ago, some people have repeatedly told me in the past in different videos that this doesn't actually work. So what we're going to do, as we've already installed these, we're going to uncheck them because we've already got these. We're going to go to next. Next up, we're going to want to install Retrobat somewhere. So what this has done is actually selected a destination already for us. So this is going to install to my C drive, and it's going to create a folder called Retrobat. Now, of course, we can actually choose to install this somewhere else. That's entirely up to you. For example, if you wanted this to install into a folder on your desktop, then you would simply create a folder. And then if I go to browse and go to my desktop, we're going to find that folder here, Retrobat. So if you wanted it to install to your desktop into a folder like this one, then that's the way to do it. But what we're going to do is just leave this to install to the default location. We're going to go to install. Okay, so it's now been installed successfully, so what we're going to do for now is just uncheck Run Retrobat. We're going to go to Finish, and I'm going to want to delete that Retrobat folder too, because nothing's actually installed in there. So just to make sure this is actually installed in the correct location, which it said C drive, I'm going to just check that. If I go to my C drive, I can then see a folder called Retrobat, and this is where this is installed to. Inside of this folder, we're going to find retrobat.exe. This is what we can open Retrobat with, but we don't actually have this on the desktop. It's not created a shortcut. If I right click on that retrobat.exe, I go down to show more options, sends to, I'm going to go to desktop create shortcut. On my desktop, I can now access Retrobat very easily just by double left clicking this. Okay, next thing we're going to want to do is just delete the Retrobat setup.exe because we've already got this installed now and it serves us no purpose. Okay, so far then, we've downloaded Retrobat and we've installed it. We've also gone through Screen Scraper, and that you need to sign up with this in order to scrape your artwork in preview videos, which we're going to show you in a minute. We've also installed directx, so there should now be no troubles whatsoever with visuals or booting up Retrobat. And the same goes with Visual C++. Next thing I'm going to recommend you doing is signing up with Retroachievements. This is going to open up a new avenue of playing your old retro games. Particular games are going to reward us with little Retroachievements, literally absolutely free, and if that's your thing, I seriously recommend using this. And we're going to go through setting this up in Retrobat shortly, but just like Screen Scraper, you do need to have an account, which is free. Okay, a little tool that we're going to use here, which I'm going to show you how to work, is CHD Man. I always recommend this neat program. I'm going to show you how this works. This is another free download. Okay then, so before we get into opening up Retrobat, what we of course need to do is actually set up a controller. So I recommend an Xbox Series Bluetooth controller for this. Mine's not plugged in yet, but what I'm going to do is just turn on the Xbox button now. And what I'm going to do is set this up with Windows 11. So I'm going to go to the search bar at the bottom and just type in Bluetooth. Bluetooth and other devices settings. What we're going to do just here is go to add device. And from here we're going to find Bluetooth. What we're going to do is hold on to the parent button on the controller. And as we can see, I can now find my Xbox wireless controller. Just left click on this one. That's now paired and connected. Okay, so we can open up Retrobat, but of course we're going to need some games to play. So we're going to need to go into the folders first of all to pop some ROMs inside of Retrobat. If I right click on the Retrobat shortcut, open file location, I'm going to find a ROMs folder, and in here is a long list of folders, and this is going to give us all the systems that Retrobat emulates. So I've got a few folders at the top here, one for Mega Drive, one for Amiga, and one for PC Engine CD. First of all then, we're going to scroll down and find Mega Drive. Everything's in alphabetical order. Here's Mega Drive. Inside of my Mega Drive folder, I've got a couple of Mega Drive ROMs. These are in .md file extension. I'm going to drag and drop them into the Retrobat ROMs Mega Drive folder. I'm then going to delete the Mega Drive folder because we no longer need that one. Next up, we're going to talk a little more complex. So we're talking about Amiga. Now, Amiga is going to need BIOS files, and there's particular systems with Retrobat which are going to require this, and also for PC Engine CD too. What we're going to do is just come out of ROMs folder, we're going to go into the BIOS folder, and if I scroll downwards, what we're going to do is drag in a few BIOS files for Amiga. So in this case, to run the game I've got just here, which is Swiv, and that was an Amiga 500 game, I'm going to need 3 files. These are kick files. I'm going to just drag and drop those inside of the BIOS folder. Very simple stuff. And now if I go to my ROMs folder, I'm going to find Amiga 500. If I drag and drop Swiv inside of there, and let me just give you a heads up, if you should have games which has got very long names like this one, we can actually rename them really easily without damaging the file. If I just backspace everything there, so it's just left with the name of the game, which is Swiv, and then .adf, that'd be fine. Okay, next up, what we're going to do is take a look at PC Engine CD. So just like Amiga, we're going to need a BIOS file to run games for PC Engine CD too. In my PC Engine CD folder, I've got a BIOS file here to operate this with inside Retrobat. And again, all I need to do with this file is just drag and drop. And the majority of BIOS files will just loosely go inside of the BIOS folder. There are exceptions, and that's why we got several folders here. But for more system setups in particular, take a look at my playlist, which I'm also going to link you to in the comments section. Okay, I'm now going to delete the Amiga folder. And if I then go back into the PC Engine CD folder, I've got 2 zip folders here with games. These are Double Dragon 2 and Cotton, or Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton. I've also downloaded CHD Man, and this is where I'm going to show you how this actually works. We can actually generate one file out of all of these bin and queue files, and this is really easily done. So what we're going to need to do first is just head into the chdman.zip. And what we're going to do is drag 2 of these files, which is chdman and q to gdi to iso to chdbat. And I've got to drag and drop those into that PC Engine CD folder containing my games. Okay, next thing I need to do then is actually extract both of these zip folders. So I'm going to go with Double Dragon first. I'm using WinRAR to extract my files. I'm going to go to extract here. Okay, I'm also going to do the same with Cotton. So if I right click on that zip folder of the game, WinRAR, and extract here. So by doing this is actually going to save us space as well. So once both of those folders have been extracted, I'm going to delete the zip folders now, no longer need those. And I'm also going to delete the Cotton zip folder. And if I scroll back up, I'm then going to start using the CHDman program. So what I'm going to do is just double left click on the .bat file. I'm going to go to run. This is going to open up a terminal, and what this is going to do is automatically convert all of these files into CHD files, which, like I said a minute ago, it's going to save us some space, and is so much better than having all of these .bin files and Q files everywhere. So these can take a little while to do, but once it's finished, as we can see here, Double Dragon 2, it should then automatically go on to the next game and convert that one too. So we're just going to wait for this. Okay, and as we can see, it's now automatically jumped into the next game. So we're going to wait for this one to do its thing. Okay, so the terminal is closed down automatically, and we should now see two CHD files of both of those games. So we've got one just here, which we can see at the bottom there, CHD, and we've also got Double Dragon 2 CHD. So what we need to do is just drag and drop both of these CHD files of the games onto the desktop for now. And now that I've used this folder, we no longer need the program, and we no longer need the bin and Q file, so this folder can just be deleted. So what we're going to do is add both of those PC Engine CD-ROMs into the Retrobat ROMs folder. So just remember, quick way of doing this is right-clicking on the shortcut, open file location, we're going to go to ROMs, and we're going to just go down towards PC Engine CD. And just drag and drop the games inside of there. And let me just remind you, that program CHD man I just used, it also covers other systems such as PS1 and also PS2, generally other systems that comprises of bin and Q file games. So what we're going to do then, we've got everything up together, we've got our controller up together, and we've got the games in their respective folders. We've also got BIOS files in the folders. So here we go, we're going to open up Retrobat for the first time. Okay, that's it then. We're now inside a Retrobat, and already we can see some of those systems which we've added ROMs for. So we've got Commodore Amiga 500. If I go inside, here's my game, and we've also got PC Engine CD. Again, there's my games, but no artwork or preview videos yet. And finally, we can see the Mega Drive games we've also added in. So first things first, what we're going to do then is use the interface just here just to get started with Screen Scraper. So to access this menu, I press the start button on my controller. If you're using a keyboard at this point, then you can press the enter button, which will get you into this menu very easily. What we're going to do then is just head down towards Scraper. I'm just pressing the D-pad downwards, and I'm going to press the A button on my controller to access this. As we can see just here, scrape from, we want to make sure this one is set to Screen Scraper, and that should be done for you by default. If I press the D-pad to the right, we're going to go over to accounts, and under username you can then type in your details from when you signed up with Screen Scraper. So just make sure you've also popped in your password too for that. Once you've done that, what we're going to do is go to options, and just here I recommend using my settings to download particular types of artwork in a particular way. So image source, I recommend putting this one to box 3D. Box source, keep this one to box 2D. Logo source, we got our selection just here. I'm going to use Will for this one. Everything else down below, just make sure everything is enabled. So by pressing the A button on the controller, we can toggle between on and off. What I'm going to do then next is press left on my D-pad, and I'm going to go down to systems included. Just here, it's going to check everything for us automatically to scrape everything. So we're going to use this for now. Go to back, and I'm going to go down to scrape now and press the A button to start this process. And as we can see on the top right hand side, we can now see it's scraping our artwork direct from Screen Scraper database. Once this process is complete, it should tell us to restart Retrobat. And here we go. So we need to update game list to apply changes. If I press the start button to access that main menu, game settings by pressing A, I'm going to press A on update game list, and yes. Okay, so if we now go inside one of these folders, so I'm going to use Mega Drive, we've now got artwork, and we've also got preview videos. If I scroll over to check out some of my other games, so we got the Amiga game just here. And finally, PC Engine CD. Okay, so next up, what we're going to do is take a look at funking up Retrobat. So right now, it's pretty basic. We can easily download new themes for Retrobat using the main menu interface just here. So I'm going to scroll down to Updates and Downloads. I'm going to go down one to Themes and press A. And here we go. So this is a complete set of themes, and this is constantly added to. And there's some really nice themes in here, almost some Hyperspin-esque type themes. So just take your time in searching for something you might like and just pay attention to how big some of these are. For example, this one just here, Hypermax Plus Pixen, is around 1.5 gigabyte. So obviously you're going to require some substantial space if you're planning to put loads of games inside of Retrobat 2. But we're going to show you how this works. We're going to download Hypermax Plus. If I press A on this and go to install, again, on the top right hand side, you can now see this is downloading, and we can download as many of these themes as we want. Some of these themes are going to be smaller than others. And I'm also going to download this theme to CCAD Book. Again, press A and install. Okay, so if we scroll over to the Installed tab under Themes Downloader, we can now see what we've actually downloaded and installed. So what we're going to do is press the B button on the controller to come out of here, and we're going to apply this to use as our new theme. So we're going to go to User Interface Settings. Remember to access this, just press the Start button or Enter on the keyboard. So Main Menu, User Interface Settings. We're going to select Theme Set, press A, and here we go. We can now see we've got both of these new themes that we've just downloaded and installed. Prior to this, you would have just seen ES Theme Carbon. So we're going to check out Hypermax, and this is the theme which looks a little bit like Hyperspin. So press A, I'm going to press B to come out, and here we go. Okay, so as you can see, much like Hyperspin. Okay, so we're going to go to User Interface Settings again and check out one of my favorites. This is CCAD Book. Again, press A to select it and B to come out. And here we go. Okay, if you remember, I actually mentioned a website known as Retroachievements. We also need to sign into this as well. So from main menu, we're going to select Game Settings. We're going to go down one to Retroachievement Settings, and we need to enable this. Under username, you then need to pop in your username and your password. Okay, once you've entered in your username and password, we now got a selection of options just here. So you can go through these individually and see what you want enabled for your retro gaming, retro achievements experience. I'm also going to go to unlock sound. And I'm going to choose to index new games at startup. So that's just going to scan through our games and let us know which games are compatible with retro achievements. If I go down to back, and there we go, indexing complete, update game list to apply changes. So we're going to go to the top, update game list, really update game list, and yes. And that's it, so Retro Achievements is now set up, and when you're playing games, providing Retro Achievements supports a particular game, you should then find you're getting Retro Achievement points. Very awesome stuff. Okay, so going back to the themes within Retrobat, we can actually make these themes look different. Again, just go to main menu. We're going to go to User Interface Settings. And by the way, since we've actually enabled Retro Achievements, we do have Retro Achievements in main menu now, which is very nice. And it's going to tell us just here the points or Retro Achievements that we've actually earned per game. And as you can see, I've actually got several here. So we're going to go back to User Interface Settings, and we're going to go to Theme Configuration, and just here we can actually change how games look. Now, for example, if I go into my Mega Drive folder, my games are presented like this. And the same if I was to go into PC Engine, so we got the wheel on the right hand side. But again, if we go into the user interface settings, theme configuration, game list view style, we can change how all of this looks. So let's just go for carousel, for example. If I come out by pressing B, you can now see within my game folders, PC Engine CD is now changed. And the same with Amiga, and also the same with Commodore. So we go back to user interface settings again, down to theme configuration, and there's lots of different things to play around with here. Default grid size, that's going to change how big our game boxes are. If I go down to systems logo type, I can change this to something completely different, say horizontal, again come out. And as we can see, we now got a completely different look for Retrobat itself. And if you completely mess up how your theme looks, for example, what I've done just here, where we've got absolutely nothing, then we can easily reset how the theme looks. So if we go down to theme configuration, if I press up on my D-pad, right at the bottom, we can find reset customizations. If I press A on this, and as you can see, everything is now reset, including my games. Okay, talking about games, we're actually going to open up a game now, and I'm also going to show you how to make your games look nicer, almost a CRT effect. So we're going to open up a game with standard default settings right now. Now, once we're in a game folder, if we was to press select on your controller, we can open up view options, and from here, advanced system options. And each system within Retrobat has many different settings for, say, emulators. Mega Drive, for example, it's got several different RetroArch cores where we can power these games. It's also got a couple of standalone emulators. But for this, something like Mega Drive, I just recommend you leaving this to auto for now, and it will likely pick a RetroArch core to work the game with. We can also open up these options per game, so if I hold on to the A button, say on Robocop vs Terminator, or I do the same with Rolling Thunder 3, we can actually define settings for that particular game. So if I go to advanced game options, as we can see just here, I've got the same options as I had just now, but this is specifically for this game, and this game only. So we're going to open up Robocop vs Terminator.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to exit that game, and what I've done to do that is use something called hot buttons. So in my case, when I opened up Retrobat for the first time, it auto-mapped my controllers, and by pressing the start and select button together on my controller, that exits a game, and those buttons therefore are known as the hotkeys. Now, let me just tell you, if you should get any issues with exiting your games, you've got the escape button on the keyboard, or whilst we're inside a game. Okay, so we're inside of a game and I can't use my hotkeys to actually exit it. So like I said just now, we've got the option to press the escape button on keyboard, or you can press the F1 key. Now, if you've got a laptop and your F1 key is acting like a volume button, then you should also have an FN button. If you press the FN button as well as the F1 button together, this is going to bring you into the RetroArch quick menu, and from here you can actually use your controller and we can actually quit out of the game. Whilst we're in RetroArch, what we're going to do is just show you how to save some of your games. So from here, what we're going to do is continue playing the game. Okay, so what I'm going to do from the RetroArch quick menu is just scroll down to save states. If I press the A button here, under state slot, you'll find we have 1000 slots, save slots that is, per game. So I'm going to leave this on auto and that's detecting slot 0. What I'm going to do next is just go down to save state, and remember to come out with these options. It's a case, in my case that is, I'm pressing the B button on the Xbox controller and the A button selects C. So I'm going to go to save state. Okay, as we can see just here, we've actually got an image of where I've just saved the game. So all I need to do next is just go down to load state. And it really is as simple as that to save and load your games. And just remember that this is based on RetroArch, so various different emulators that you can download through Retrobat, such as TechnoParrot or RPCS3, then they're all going to have their different ways of saving games. What I'm going to show you next then is actually how to map out your controller. So let's just say you can't be bothered to press the escape key or even go into RetroArch quick menu. We can actually go to main menu, controller settings, and if I select controller mapping and OK, now I need to hold on to one of my buttons on my controller, and it doesn't matter which button it is, so I'm going to hold on to the A button, and from here, as we can see, I've now got the ability to map out everything from scratch. So we're just going to go through these. And right at the bottom, we're going to find a hotkey. Now, I recommend choosing 2 buttons, and if you press these simultaneously, and if we press OK, you should be then good to use your controller for exiting games. But like you've seen, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. Very easy stuff. Okay, next up, I'm going to show you how to make your games look really old school. Now, what we're going to do is go back to the main menu by, of course, pressing the start button or even enter key on your keyboard. We're going to scroll down to updates and downloads again. And from here, what we're going to do first is go to content downloader. And from Content Downloader, we can actually download videos, intro videos. So you can download those very simply just by pressing the A button, install, and it's that simple. But we're going to go over the shaders by using the D-pad, shaders and Mega Bezels. Now what we're going to do is download some of these packages. First of all, I'm going to download CyberLab CRT Royal. If I press A and install this one, and I'm going to show you in a minute how this looks and how much better, or old school if you will, the games are going to look with these. I'm also going to download this one just here, the Doomon graphics. And again, just be mindful of what you're downloading. Some of these packages are pretty hefty in terms of size. Okay, so I'm downloading these shaders in Mega Bezels, and I'm going to specifically, to begin with, using these with Mega Drive. So as we can see, the packages have now been extracted and installed, so we can start using these, but we do need to change some settings, and these need to be set to Vulkan. So what we're going to do within the Mega Drive folder is just press the select button to bring up view options, advanced system options, and we're going to scroll down. You should find an option saying drivers, and what we're going to do is set this one now to Vulkan. And now the Mega Bezels and the shaders have finished extracting completely, what we're going to do then is actually start applying this to one of our games. So I'm going to use RoboCop vs Terminator again. So first of all, we're going to go to shader set. And as you can see just here, we got lots of CyberLab CRT options to use, and that's of course what we just downloaded. Now, one of my favorites is actually the CRT Royal, but you can feel free to experiment with any of those. Under decorations, if I go right to the bottom, I can actually use the bezel projects just here, which is of course going to give us the artwork for the games we're playing, or we can go for something a little bit more funky just here. So I'm going to go to default, no curve, and that's going to bring up a decoration of the Sega Mega Drive. Now I also need to ensure that game aspect ratio is set to 4:3 to get the full image. If it's on something like 16:9, it's going to present us with a widescreen look and it's going to take away a lot of the gameplay field. So I'm going to just select 4:3 on this one. Now if I open up RoboCop vs Terminator.
Excellent.
And as you can see, we've now got a CRT effect and that looks pretty slick. And just remember, we can actually change these around. So advanced system options, shader set, and this time we're going to choose something a little different. We're going to randomly select this Genesis Sharp Blarg NTSC. And this time I'm going to open up Rolling Thunder.
Got it.
And as you can see, that gives us a more of a dark CRT effect. Now just remember, if you're not a fan of bezels or even decorations, we can actually take these away altogether. So just go to decorations, and if we select none, and we open up the game again, so this time I'm going to use a completely different shader, and let's see what SNES PSX can do for us. And there we go, so we've got absolutely nothing on the sides now. It's almost like we're playing on a real CRT to some extent. So just a minute ago, I downloaded some intro videos, and this is going to then bring me into just deleting a few things which we've downloaded in Retrobat so far. So again, just right click on the shortcut, open file location. We're going to go to the emulationstation folder from here, and here you're going to find a .emulationstation folder. From here, if we go to the video folder, we can then see what we've actually downloaded. So I've got a fair few videos in there. You can actually add your own videos, but they need to be in a .mp4 format to do this. So just drag and drop whatever you like. And if you want to delete these, then just delete them. And what I'm going to do is delete everything just here, but I'm going to leave this one to play. Now we can even add our own music too, and I've covered this as a separate video. If we go to music, we've got music playing in the background, which I've actually disabled at the start of this video so I could hear myself think. If you can see just here, this is the selection of front-end songs we got, or background music. These are in a .ogg format. So if you're going to add your own music, just ensure they're in the .ogg file extension. And whilst we're here, I'm also going to show you how to delete artwork. So let's just say you've downloaded a lot of artwork and you don't particularly like the look of it and you want to use a different style of artwork. This is very simple. Just go to your ROMs folder, and if I was, for example, to go to my Amiga 500 folder, we're going to find 3 folders here. So we got images, and we've also got manuals, which we've asked Screenscraper to download us, and we got videos. So you can just go ahead and feel free to delete those folders, as well as the gamelist.xml, which Retrobat will regenerate once you open it up again. Okay, so finally, Retrobat caters for computer systems, so that's one of the reasons I've included an Amiga 500 game. We're going to need a virtual keyboard at times, say for ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Atari ST, and so forth. So what we're going to do is just open up this game. And what we're going to do is actually apply some of these shader and Mega Bezels settings to this. Again, we can actually do this per game, so I've held on to my A button. I'm going to go down to Advanced Game Options, and from here I'm going to go to Shader Set, and I'm going to of course use my favourite shader for this one, which is CRT Royale. Decorations, I'm going to actually select Default No Curve. I quite like this look. And we're going to want to set the game aspect ratio to 4:3 just to be sure that we're going to get the right display on this. And with systems such as the Commodore Amiga, we can actually disable the sound of the loading disc, and you can do this very easily by going down to Advanced Settings, Emulation, and we're going to find Floppy Sound. If I highlight this one and press right on my D-pad, that's going to allow us to disable that floppy sound. From here, we can also do other features if you're a Commodore Amiga fan like myself, and you can change the model to give us a better fit for a particular game you're trying to run. However, SWIV is just a standard Amiga 500 game, and you don't need something super duper to run this game. So what we're going to do is open up SWIV. Okay, so here we go. This is a standard cracked version of the Amiga game itself. I press select button on my controller, and this is going to open up a virtual keyboard. And from here we can actually use this virtual keyboard to correspond with what the game is asking us to do. From the virtual keyboards, we can also change from joystick to mouse ports, which a lot of Amiga games are going to require us to do. So J/M, if I press A on this, and I'm going to press select to come out. And we got the same situation for Commodore Amiga 2, which I showed you just now for the Mega Drive. We can actually go to save states and save to through here. And again, by pressing the F1 button on my keyboard or the FN and F1 button, we can access this option, go down to load state. So let me show you something that a lot of people get stuck on. Some particular systems might have one and more discs per game, and Amiga is a good example of this. So what we're going to do is just pretend this game is asking us to insert disc 2. What we're going to do from the quick menu is go down to disk control, load new disc, and from here, if you've got a second disc, a third disc, and so on, you can select it from here. And what that does is inserts it, and it thinks it's actually running from disc 2. It's very simple to use. Okay, finally we have got the very awesome PC Engine CD-ROM. So what we're going to do is check out one of my absolute favourite shoot 'em ups. And again, I'm actually going to make this look nicer. So advanced game options, and what we're going to do is go down to shader set, and of course we're going to pop on my favourite shader, and under decorations I'm going to choose a default curve. Before we end today's video, let me just give you a little heads up. We've actually got a user manual. Once you're outside of your systems and you're back onto the Retrobat wheel, just press select on your controller or the equivalent of select, and from here we can actually go down to view user manual.
Prepare to die.
So as you've seen just there, there's lots of button combinations involved in this system. So to go through each one of these would take me a lifetime more than likely. And that's it for today's Retrobat 7.4 comprehensive setup guide for a beginner. So hopefully I've got all the basics in there and you should be up and running in no time. What I'm going to do is also leave a couple of links in the comments section so you can refer to it for particular setups within Retrobat. Like I was saying in the video, there's particular systems such as the PlayStation 3 emulator, RPCS3, and also TechnoParrot, which are a little bit more complex to add into Retrobat. Anyways, if you liked today's video, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss upcoming retro emulation as well as retro gaming content. Anyways, until next time, thanks for watching and stay retro.